Alright, we're here. I mean, do I even gotta explain myself, bro? I mean, MS thinks he can pull up on the guy that started the content meta for Big Juice. You know what I'm saying? Like, who does he think he is? I made this! So, we're here today. We're here today to do some tier list action. I guess we get non-copyrighted music on here, so you know, we don't lose the video because I don't really feel like recording this one twice. It's gonna be a long video. Copyright free background music. Here we go. All right, here we are. All right, so as you can see, we're here. Let me grab. I'm a mess. Hold on, let me grab something. Just to show all you motherfuckers how much this shit means to me. How much this shit means to me, bro. Just in case y'all forgot. I mean, this is only for the first 3 seasons? 4 maybe? But, I literally have all of the cards from all the Pokemon I ever had on my team. Even bitch-ass Lipard. I have her card. Why? Could not tell you. Roserade! I got it! What else y'all want? I mean, shit, what else y'all want? The Megas! Right here! Shit, this one fell. Which one is this? Oh, my Goat Gardevoir. All the Megas I ever had in Big Juice, right here! So, I mean, if y'all don't think Big Juice meant something... I mean, honestly, I'm in the mood for another Big Juice season. Tourney aside, we need another season going because I need some more draft in my life. I've been missing out on Big Juice a lot this whole year. First, it felt nice to not to worry about it, but now, since it's been fucking, what, we're almost in September, so like 9 fucking months basically with no Big Juice because this season was fucking cooked. I'm back to get right into it. Like, I'm ready. Fuck this tournament. I'm playing in it because everyone else is, but whether y'all want to play in this next season or not, bro, I might as well just like, fucking start one because I'm ready to play again. But we're here. We're here. This shit means something to me. But I'm here, as you can imagine, tier list, 3-minute long intro. Y'all are used, maybe not used to it anymore, but y'all are used to what I used to be cooking. Tiers are pretty self-explanatory. Goat tier. So I'm not gonna be. So this is gonna be a different one. So like for me, when I think of a Mon that is GOAT tier versus fraud, obviously it comes into like consideration like performance, like how well they actually did for the team. But I think a bigger thing for me is like when I look back, and whether I think of the Philadelphia Flygons, the Westside Grafii, or even the Oakland Ogrepons, you know, I don't really like that team name that much. But when I think of my teams that I've used, just to note, I guess I should point this out. I am tiering all of the leagues I've been in since I've returned to draft. I know I'm missing the one team I used in the one league me and Tanner did like 2 years ago. I had like a team with Mega Aggron, Sylveon, Entei, but I couldn't remember the whole team. I don't have it written down anywhere, so instead of just putting on like half a team, I just decided to exclude that team. But other than that, I have all 6 seasons of Big Juice on here, and I have my UNPLD League team and my Torch Song Draft League team. So obviously a very large majority of these will be Big Juice Pokemon, as you know, you can probably imagine. But hold on, I'm trying to pull something up. But as you can imagine, very, very large majority of these is going to be big juice mons, which I'm excited about. But there are some mons that are like that I traded away that aren't on here, like Corviknight. I did use for a couple weeks back in season 2, but I didn't use it long enough to really care. Really, the only mon that's on here that got traded is Gengar, and we'll obviously get to him when we get to him because that was season 3. That's a very, very hard trade for me to make. But regardless, we're here now. No more stalling. Let's get in the video. Again, I think I just went over this. I'm going to go over it again. It's going to be based on like performance a little bit, because obviously if I drafted them on, they didn't do anything. Lipard. They're not going to be drafted as high. But also, like, when I look back at my teams and I think about whether it's season 1 of Big Juice, season 5 Big Juice, season 2 of Big Juice, when I think of that team, like, does that, like, when I look back, am I like, you know, or like that mon, like what that mon meant to that team, what that mon meant to that season, how much they performed, and like when I think about it, I'm like, you know what, that's my mon. Like when I think of a mon, it's like that's my, like when you think of fucking Agent Bolt, like we don't even say Belly Bolt in the Discord. Like when you think of Belly Bolt, you think Agent Bolt, you think Mnez. So for me, like when I look back and I think about it, am I like, you know what, I think I claimed this mon, or like in my head, am I like, whether I claimed it or not, I guess it doesn't really matter, but like in my head, am I like, this embodied what I needed and like what it did for my team? Like, is this, when I think of the West Side Grafai, is this mon, or the Philadelphia Flygons, is this mon coming to mind? So it's a little bit of team identity along with performance, if that makes sense. Vibes per usual, but we're here, we're getting into it. 7-minute intro, come on. Alright, let's get into this. Nidoqueen. Now this was a more recent season. I think this was season 5 I had Nidoqueen, right? Yeah, season 5. Don't really have the stats for season 5 because, you know, I stopped doing them, so I have to go with vibes here and just like memory. But Nidoqueen put in a ton of work for me. I mean, this is tough. Because, like, I think I was the first one to use Nidoqueen in Big Juice, which is crazy because it took 5 seasons to get there. Alright. First thing off the bat, let's move all the non-Big Juice Pokemon to the bottom, because I think that's important. Non-Big Juice. Are you Big Juice? No, you're not Big Juice. You're definitely not Big Juice. You're not Big Juice. You're not Big Juice. You're not Big Juice. You're not Big Juice. Appleton's not Big Juice, that's tough. Cat is definitely not Big Juice. Great Tusk, you're not Big Juice. I want to organize this to where, like, Haunter's already down here. Tentacruel, you're not Big Juice. Alright, let's get on. So, Nidoqueen. Is Nidoqueen a Hall of Famer for me? I don't think so. It's definitely not GOAT tier. It cannot be GOAT tier. I mean, it's just, for me, it's like, is it Workhorse or Hall? I think it's got to be Workhorse. Like, when I think of what Nidoqueen did for me in Season 5, it did so much. It got a ton of kills, got a ton of cleanup kills, so it got up a lot of hazards, and it did a lot of, like, even non-Life Orb sets where it's just black sludge, like, it does a lot of damage, and it's so bulky. I love Nidoqueen. I love Queen more than King, bro. And I said it. I've been saying it. I'm saying it officially on the record. Queen's just overall bulk and just ability to take a hit and deal it back pretty well, even non-Life Orb, just with Sheer Force, makes it so much better than King. I loved using I loved using Nido Queen. It was a ton of fun. Great mon. I would totally draft it again. Yeah, Nido Queen. Ooh. We might need some more tiers here. Add row below. Alright, so sleeper. I might need a season 6 bias, because like there's a lot of mons that I had on my most recent Big Juice season where like I did not like, but it was also because that team just fucking sucked. Minor fraud, major fraud. Okay. Yeah, because Quavel's got to be a minor fraud, I think. Because, like, obviously, Season 6 of Big Juice is very scuffed. I actually just did not give a single fuck about that entire season. That being said, the first half of Season 6 was a real season. Like, first 4 weeks of Season 6, like, people were getting their games in on time, and it wasn't the shit show that it became. So, like, it's still an official season of Big Juice that I participated in. So we gotta be honest, even though we have our Season 6 bias and it's a Mickey season, Mickey champ, I mean, we gotta be honest, it's a real season. So even though I still believe Quavel is a great, absolutely great, just mon in general, especially in draft, I gotta be honest, it was a minor fraud on that team. I don't think so. I think it was sleeper, because they got a couple sweeps, bro. It got a couple sweeps, and I think that's like a big deal. I think that's a big deal. There's a lot of mons that are going to be minor, major frauds on here. I don't think Quack is one of them. I think he just, if he didn't get that one sweep, I forget what game it was, but if he didn't get that one sweep with the, like, I didn't even mean to go for it. I just got like a 1 or 2 Aqua boost off, and I swept. Like, if it wasn't for that, probably be minor fraud, but, yeah, I mean, Quack is too good. Even if it's not doing the most, it's doing what it needs to. I brought like Assault Vest Quack a couple times. I mean, obviously, it's not what you want it to do most of the time, but like, you know, with the team that I drafted in Season 6 being so frail, even my walls not being the tankiest things in the world, like, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I think Quack, considering the position I put Quack in, I think it put in a lot of work. So I got to give respect where respect is due. Quack definitely would draft again. But for the team I had it on, the season I had it in, I mean, this is the highest I can give it. This is what it is. Aerodactyl. Ooh. Okay, you're definitely not Big Juice. I just noticed you. Aerodactyl. I think he's sleeper too. I think even with Season 6 being biased for me, bro, like, you gotta think about it. Like, I gotta add another tier. Add row below. Okay. So let me explain what this tier is. 9 to 5 jobber. Workhorse is like you put in the work, but you might not be Hall of Fame tier. Like when I think of like a Westside Grafii or Philadelphia Flygun Mon, you might not be the first thing that comes to mind, but you're up there. Like you are just out of that tier of Hall of Fame. 9 to 5 jobber means you showed up to work, you did your job, and then you got your PTO. You showed up maybe a couple games out of the season, you did your thing, and when you weren't there, we didn't really notice you. So that's what 9 to 5 jobber is, but I had to add that tier because I know there's going to be a few here in a bit. But, honestly, I think that's got to be him, bro. And again, sleeper doesn't mean you're necessarily worse than jobber, but sleeper just means, like, even though you might not have had the greatest season, there was potential to be had. Maybe just the role wasn't necessarily filled on the team at the time. But 9 to 5 jobber, I think that's Aerodactyl all the way, bro. Came in, got his speed tiers off. He did his thing. And Yeah, I mean, honestly, I might delete minor fraud. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But, I mean, Aerodactyl's just a jobber, bro. He came in, did his job, and he got out, bro. When we needed speed, he was there. When we needed just a little bit of damage, he was there. If we needed rocks up, he was there. But he did his thing, and he just got the fuck out. And that's fine. We don't need him to do anything else. We're giving him full PTO. But he did his thing, and that's all we could ask him to do. And he did it. So, like, what is there to be mad about? Arrow did his thing, bro. Don't be mad at him. He did what he needed to do. He didn't go on above and beyond, but that wasn't his job. It was not in his job description. Ooh, sorry, I'm watching, like, Weekend Stream Smite 2 on the other monitor, because, you know, Deadlock's not out yet, and no one's streaming it. But let's move on. Quag! Ooh. Quag. Is Quag a jobber or a sleeper? I think Quag is low-key, like... Alright, hold on. We're gonna move you up to here. And we're naming... Okay, so this is what we're doing. I guess I should have figured this out before I started recording, but y'all know how I be rocking. Is like... You know. You know. Y'all know the vibes. But I think Quag's gonna be for me. Like, he did his job, but like... like, he didn't really show me anything, bro. Like, he showed me a little bit, and again, considering he was my wall on the team, and like, his base stats just aren't what they used to be, bro. Like, again, it's not necessarily his fault per se. It's just, for what I needed, for what the role I put him in, he tried his best, but even still, bro, it's like Arrow was doing a good job, even though he wasn't in the greatest position, but Quag, I mean... Come on, that's all you got, bro. That's all we got. Quag and Fortress is another This mon, me and him had beef back in Season 5, bro. Because, again, hidden power, broken-ass move. We need to ban that shit in Season 7. But, I mean... This mon, it grew on me a lot, I'll say. Because I think it was towards the end of the season, I started, like, figuring him out a bit more, getting used to him, and then in playoffs he did pretty good. I know he had a good game against Mnez or Sal? Maybe both. I know he's definitely there for the Mnez game, but maybe Sal. Really, the only thing I remember from my game against Sal in Season 5 playoffs was the Hatterene game. But, yeah. Fortress, another Ammon. He started to grow on me a little bit, so I'll put him above Quag, but for the most part, just falls out of that jobber. For how long we just weren't getting along, I can't put him much higher than that. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I mean, I can respect what he did for the team when he was on it, but again, there was too much beef for too long to put him any higher. Mons? Ooh, Mons is either workhorse or 9-to-5 jobber. Because I remember at first we were not, again, Season 5, there's a couple Mons where like we just were not really vibing that well at first, but towards the end he was like really pumping. I'll put him in 9-to-5 jobber for now. Because like, again, it's kind of the same thing as Fortress where like he could be in workhorse, like he could move up a tier, but I think considering how long me and Mons were not on the same page for, cannot really afford to put him much higher. Great mon though. I mean, in my playoff run in Season 5, played a huge role. I mean, honestly, him and Deoxys Speed put in a ton of work against them. Scarf Mence is literally the only reason that game was even close. I mean, Scarf Mence was putting in an immense amount of work against Mnez. But yeah, I mean, this is literally just, when I think of like teams Mence maybe not the first mon that comes to mind, but I mean, I definitely think of Mence when I think of past teams. Like, when I think of Season 5, I think of, like, Deoxys Speed, Mega Manetric, and, like, Mence. Like, that's what I think of. So, definitely a good mon. But if I'm comparing it to Nidoqueen, who's on the same team, there's just no shot he can be in the same tier. Nidoqueen was there almost every week. Had it almost even if it wasn't, like, the wildly different sets. I mean, it still came, like, every week. Put in a good amount of work every week. I can't disrespect Nidoqueen by putting Mence in the same tier. There's no way. Samurai. So for me, Samurai is either Workhorse or Hall of Fame. Workhorse or Hall of Fame. Like, when I think of that Season 5 season, bro, Samurai, I mean, unsung hero, bro. I mean, that Ceaseless Edge is just so broken. There's just no way to put it. Broken move, probably the most broken move in Pokemon. No, not probably. It is the most broken move in Pokemon. You don't even prep for it necessarily like you should, and like I did at times. Like, oh, I just need to get like a layer or two of spikes up. But like, when you're in the moment playing, you're not even like necessarily cognitive. You're not like cognitively aware at times that like, oh, I'm getting spikes up. So like Pokemon will just randomly be like 78% health or like 88% health, and you're just like, oh, how'd that happen? It's like, oh yeah, they switched in it a couple times on my spikes from Ceaseless Edge, and now they're like dead. So like, obviously that's just a Samurai thing, but like the amount of work he put in, again, he's like Nidoqueen, but like just above. Like, honestly, I could move him down to Workhorse, but like, for right now, I'm gonna keep him here just because like, this is a mon I would draft every single draft season if I really wanted to. Like, we'll get to Gren later because again, he's not a big juice mon, but him and Gren, water dark typing, OP as fuck offensively, defensively great as well, and just the fact he has so much bulk and just raw damage or sharpness, this is a great mon. Hall of Fame for sure. Hall of Famer. Hydreigon. Ooh. I want to put Hydreigon in Hall of Fame as well, even though it's Season 6. But, like, I don't think I can. I'll put in Workhorse, though, because Hydreigon, like, that was the one thing that made me want to play Season 6 was Hydra, because Hydra was I mean, Mnaz and a couple other people that, you know, used to fucking prep teams with all the time before the season, before the draft. I mean, y'all know how much I wanted Hydreigon. I literally wanted Hydreigon for like the entirety of Big Juice. I'd go into like every draft like, alright, I'm drafting Hydreigon. I'm drafting Hydreigon. I'm drafting Hydreigon. And then I just never draft him. Like, Hydra is just the GOAT. I mean, again, Dark, great typing offensively and defensively. Dragon, same thing. Dragon Dark, even better. You have Levitate. The speed tier is really the only bad thing about it, but even then, 98's not the worst. You're super bulky. You have Roost with our rule set still. You have Stealth Rocks. Like, he has everything. Like, Hydra can do it all. He does it all, and he does it better than most mons can. Hydra is just the go. Honestly, he might be the highest rated. Ooh, see, make him all wild, but you get the idea. Like, Hydra is a very good mon, and when I look back at my Big Juice career, even though Season 6 is a season that, you know, not a lot of us want to remember, for me personally, Hydra is definitely like one of the highlights of Season 6. Even just highlights of my Big Juice career in general. I mean, Hydra was so much fun to use. Did so much. I mean, I think it was my game against Noah or someone. I literally just brought choice specs, and I literally got a kill with Draco or Dark Pulse every time it came out, and like there's nothing they could do. Like, this mon is ridiculous. I love this mon so much. Yeah, this mon is my goat. Ogerpon, I mean, do I even gotta say anything? I mean, initially it was Terra with all masks, but I realized that was a terrible idea. And then I self-nerfed myself because I realized I was the one that pushed for the rule. So I was like, alright, I probably got to bring this back a bit. So I made it so Licky Licky was my Terra Captain moving forward because I didn't want to win a Mickey season. Because if I kept Terra Ogerpon, I was winning the whole thing. This mon is just absolutely broken. But Ogerpon, you know, it's a little skewed just because I did have access to all 4 masks. So it's like slightly skewed, but number one, I had to tell the person if I was bringing Ogerpon which mask I was bringing. So like, it kind of gave them information away, but like at the same time, like I kind of needed to just because, you know, I pushed for the rule and I realized it wasn't fair and none of the other leagues were doing it, so kind of had to. But even then, like, I turn on this music a little bit, it's a little loud. Even then, like, I think it's still like good, like it was fine. Probably wouldn't do it again just because, you know, I think having access to all the masks is cool because they kind of do all act like separate Pokemon. Like the fire one, you're not. I mean, they are all kind of the same, but like not really. Like the fire one, you don't want to be setting up spikes as much as like maybe the rock or the water mask necessarily. But the way you play around their abilities and stuff, like they all do the same things, the same movesets, yes, but like with their abilities and like what you're trying to do, it's like so different. But Ogerpon in general, I mean, one of my favorite mons, just design-wise of all time, and just Pokemon in general. The masks is such a cool concept. The fact that it's like a Mega Stone where like you self-inflict like a debuff on yourself by like getting rid of your item slot. Ogerpon not necessarily as much as like a Mega Stone because obviously you still get the 20% boost with your mask, but even then you don't really have the choice for Life Orb or anything or like a Choice Band or Choice Scarf unless you're running Teal Mask, which then you don't have coverage on Ivy Cudgel. But even then, Ogerpon, just a great mon. I mean, this mon is just absolutely my goat. I mean, literally, I don't like the Oakland Ogerpons and as like a brand name necessarily. I think it's kind of lame and not really the coolest thing ever just because, I don't know. I think Westside Grafai and Philadelphia Flygons just rolls off the tongue better and just feels more like me because I've had the Flygon since like 2015. So for me, I've literally had the Flygons as like a team name for like 9 or 10 years at this point. Might have been 2014, probably 2015 though. And I mean, Westside Grafai, I mean, I think that's just the coolest sounding name I've ever come up with, and I really like it. Even if, you know, they're drafted Grafai, that's besides the point. But, shit, set my alarms on. I woke up way too early today. Mind you, it's 1 in the afternoon, but, you know, I'm on the D-Gen sleep schedule because I work overnight. But yeah, I mean, this is just a great mon. Goat. Literally so goat that it made me rebrand off the Westside Grafai for a season or 2. We went back to it very quickly after that, but you know, mod had so much hype behind it for me that I decided to do it. Mega Mawile. It's so hard to put a mon in Hall of Fame when it was in season 6. But I gotta do it. Probably be the end of Hall of Fame, like probably just breaking in, but Mega Mawile is just, I mean, what can you say? That mon is just crazy. I mean, comes in, kills like 5 things, and your team is just there to just clean up what it doesn't. I mean, this mon is ridiculous. Again, Hydra and Mega Mawile, really the only 2 mons I cared about on that last team, but my god, did they just prove what they needed to prove. I mean, they did their thing and it was there. But Mega Mawile, I mean, again, just a great mon, did a ton of work. Literally single-handedly like carried my team to like everything. I mean, let me pull up the season 6 kill sheet. I don't know if it's like super updated. That was, you know, MNAS and Biff's doing for the most part, but let me see. Cuz I know Mega Mawile was like one of, if like top of the kill leaders for a while. Mega Mawile went 20-9 in 6 games. It is... It's in 9th place, and a lot of the Mons above it, like, Glacier is the kill leader, and it played in 4 more games, and only has 11 more kills. Mind you, this is best of 3. Like, that's very easy to come up and beat. Like, if I played all my games in Season 6, I mean, I intended to at some point, but you know. Last, like, 3 or 4 people I wanted to play didn't want to play, but that's besides the point. If I got to play my last couple games in Season 6, Mega Mowwow easily could have, like, been #1 very easily, because it had a very commanding lead for a while. Mega Mowwow, let's go. And we are 30 minutes in, and we have, like, 6 Mons listed, so we gotta hurry up. Serena, I'm moving you up and you down. There we go. Is just like, bro, like, I love Serena. I think it's a super good draft fund. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think Serena's very good. Probably a better Terra captain nowadays more than anything, but even looking pre-Gen 9 and even post-Gen 9 into Gen 10, Serena will always just be a good grass type to me in draft. I believe it's 78 speed with rapid spin. Has great bulk, great speed F. Slap an assault vest on it with some attack investment, you'll just do great. Even if you want to do some synthesis set with U-turn, you can. Knock off. Like, this mon does it all. Great utility mon. Could even be like a sweeper with like a rapid spin, like lychee berry maybe, if you want to get fancy with it. I never did. But this mon is just a great mon in general. I'll always stand by it. But like, these 3 mons I think are great mons. That's why I drafted them in the first place. But team comp and just how they played, like, it just didn't work necessarily as I wanted it to. And it just is. It is what it is, bro. It just is what it is. Serena didn't really get the performance since should have, but it happened, bro. Claudia, I never drafted you in Big Juice either. You got moved down, my bro. Blaze. Ooh. Bolton. Okay. But Bocephalon, definitely a fraud. Definitely a fraud. I think it's a great mon. Again, probably just more of a Season 6 thing more than anything, and I'm very keen on that, and I'm trying to not be super biased here just because I don't think it's necessarily fair to these mons that I'm rating them low. But again, 1, I would never have drafted them. I think they're actually bad mons. 2, it's kind of the point of this video is to rate on like slight performance. But 3, it's also just like when I look back and I think of my teams, I do not think of Bocephalon. I do not think of Bocephalon. Hydreigon, Mega Mawile, they were carrying my season. Bocephalon came in, got like maybe 1 Shadow Ball off and would die. I mean, again, granted, my Season 16, not the bulkiest team in the world. I understand the position I put Bocephalon in. Its job wasn't to sweep. It was just get damage off so something else could. I'm very well aware of that. That does not mean it was not a fraud on the Westside Grafii roster. This thing was a massive fraud. This thing fucking sucked on my team. Again, I'd be open. Again, all these mons, I'm open to redrafting, especially Bocephalon, because I do think it got a super bad rap, and I'd be super interested to give it another go. But if we're talking in terms of what it actually did and like what criteria we're going with compared to some of the other mons on this roster, Bocephalon is a fucking fraud. He's just a fraud. And that's okay. Some people are frauds in life, but like you're a fraud. I'll get to you when I get to you, but like, you get the point. Like, it's a fraud. And it's hard to accept, but Bocephalon was a fraud. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Bolton was a jobber. For sure. Terra Bolton, I will say, which was very cool, because, you know, we had a lot of broken-ass fucking mons with Terra. A lot of stronger mons with Terra options, I should say. But Bolton, I mean, you just do one of the dual attacks. You either do Terra Dark for Crunch, Psychic for fucking Psychic Fangs, and he just does work, bro. Just does work. Great Terramon. Not the bulkiest mon, but has a great speed tier. Has Volt Switch in case you do want to like get some momentum with it. Not necessarily the best job for Bolton, I'll say. He really wants to come in and just hit something super hard, but I think he's a great mon. Way more fun with Terra, obviously, but just the ability to get that like double stab with strong gel plus like actual stab is just crazy. Yeah, Bolton, great mon. Even with the bias of season 6 again, one of the more enjoyable mons I used in season 6. And yeah, just a great mon. Love it. My dog. My dog. Hatterene is a workhorse. I mean, a lot of this shit, I'm borderline putting it in jobber, but I'll put it in workhorse. Hatterene put in a ton of work in season 5. Most notably against Sal in playoffs, just choice specs. Hatterene literally just obliterated his entire team. He had absolutely nothing for it. But, I mean, in general, this mon put in a ton of work. Bouncing back hazards and status. People, again, just don't respect magic bounce. And even if you do get punished for it, in a lot of matchups it doesn't matter because Hatterene's bulky enough to where like it's not going to insta-die. Obviously, if it's like a super effective move, you know, it gets a little sketchy. But again, Hatterene's typically bulky enough to where that doesn't matter. Draining Kiss Nuzzle, all that good stuff. But Hatterene the GOAT, put in a ton of work. Probably going to be towards the end of Workhorse compared to some of these other mons. But when I look back at Season 5, Nidoqueen and Hatterene, like, Nido maybe slightly over Hatterene, but, like, Nidoqueen, to my memory, never had, like, Nidoqueen might have been more consistent, but Hatterene had that peak of Sal in playoffs where, like, she just auto-won me the game. I didn't have to do anything. So, like, I value that a lot. Even though Nidoqueen might have been more consistent, Hatterene had the higher peaks. And even then, the valleys weren't really that low with Hatterene because it's pretty hard to have, like, a bad game with Hatterene. It just kind of does its thing. So, Hatterene the GOAT. Love it. Overquill's probably a jobber. Again, this was Season 6. So, like, it did a good amount considering the position it was in. You know, it was defensive most of the time just because I needed something to eat the hits. But honestly, it put in a lot more work than I thought. Obviously, Overquill, a great mon, only weak to ground. But even with that, I still thought coming into this season, Quagsire was going to do more than Overquill. I mean, Quagsire has triple hazards compared to Overquill's 2. They both have Toxic. Overquill has Quagsire has Yawn. But even then, just having Barbarage and forcing people to go Covert Cloak some weeks is nice. And if they go Covert Cloak, they might not have a Lumberry for like a normal Toxic or Toxic Spikes. So, like, Overquill is just a great mon, put in a lot of work. But again, just a jobber. Did his thing, and he left. And we don't got to cook him for it. This is what he did. But, yeah. Definitely the GOAT. Araquanid. I put Araquanid in GOAT. Is he the first GOAT? Or is he just Hall of Fame? Because GOAT, I'm trying to be very, very careful with. I'm trying to be very careful with GOAT. Because, like, I hate when people have a tier list where there's, like, 50 things in S tier and then, like, 20 things in A. It's, like, it's super unbalanced or being, like, not fair. And, again, I get that's, like, the point of a tier list to have fun. But, like, I'm trying to make this, like, as reasonable as I could. But Araquanid, he's borderline GOAT. He's borderline GOAT. I mean, I'll do it for now. He could move down. Araquanid could move down. He could move down. But Season 4 of Araquanid, this mon is a monster. 132 special defense. Water Bubble, most broken ability in the game. Move pool so ass, but doesn't matter because he hits so hard anyway, and he has sticky webs, so he's just getting the webs that are sticky up. This mon is crazy. Put in so much fucking work. I mean, literally week 1 against Croc with the Sun team, AV Araquanid ate him up for fucking breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, appetizers, seconds. Bro, Araquanid Goat. I made my peace. I made my fucking peace. Bronzong, definitely a Hall of Famer for sure. We started this tier list off with a lot of lower tier mons. We're starting to get into like the mid stretch here. Bronny, Hall of Fame. I mean, he was season 3. He's on the championship squad. So he's a little bit... Season 6 has its bias for bad reasons. Season 3 is going to have its bias for good reasons. Same with Season 4, for sure, with Araquanid. Because, you know, undefeated season up until finals. But, dude, Bronzong, this mon is just crazy. Won me the finals with the clear amulet. Trick Room. Got the final blow for the win, too, which is funny. Because a lot of... When you look back at finals, you think of the Garchomp that got like fucking 13 or 14 kills or whatever. But Bronzong getting the final blow and actually securing that championship for me is like what put the nail in the coffin and finished the story, which felt really good. But yeah, Bronzong's my GOAT. When I go into a draft, I always look for it. It's just there. I'm debating putting in GOAT because, again, I do have it for Torch Song Draft League this season. And, again, it's putting in a ton of work, but this time as a Terra Captain. But I think just to be safer now, we'll keep it in Hall of Fame. But, again, the end of the video, I'll do my last-minute revisions. But for now, Bronzong, definitely a Hall of Famer when I look back. Yeah, Bronzong's a GOAT for sure. Cinderace. Another Hall of Famer. I mean, this mon, like Raikou, was on like a 13, 14, 15 kill streak at some point before he got his first death in the season. Just absolutely fantastic mon. The ability to just switch hazards. You just run boots. I mean, I kind of fell into the trap to where I ran boots too much on Cinderace just because it's such a free item to put on him and it's its best item to have. And like, boots is never a bad thing, but like, there was definitely some weeks, and especially in finals, where if I ran a different item other than boots, it probably would have been better for me. But even then, boots Cinderace, probably the most like iconic item combo. Like when I think of mon item combos, Cinderace and boots is like probably one of the most iconic combos you can have. This mon put in so much work. I mean, when I look back at season 4, obviously that whole team and how I built it was like why I was so successful. But, like, when I really think about it, like, if I didn't have Cinderace, I don't think that team would have went undefeated. So Cinderace, definitely up there for sure. Yeah, one of my favorite mons of all time. Definitely always look to draft them as if I need a fire for sure. Ditto! We finally have one of the OGs on here. Season 1. Not a lot of you were around then. A lot of you new folks that came in during the Season 3 when we really started expanding out, like the Brits and Croc. That started joining us in Season 3. For all my OGs back in Season 1, man. Ditto was there. Ditto was there. I'm gonna be blunt. I really don't remember Ditto doing a whole lot. So I'll just put him in eh. Just because, you know, this is 2 years ago at this point. Yeah, Season 1 was like June or July of 2022. It's like, yeah, 2 years ago we were starting up Season 2, which is kind of crazy to think about. But, yeah. Like, so 2 years ago, not really going to have, and especially if the replay's not working for that long ago anymore because of the replay crash, like, there's not much history that I can really go back on with Ditto. That being said, Ditto is still a great mon. Like, still a great draft mon, but just for what it did for my team, bro, like, I don't remember it. So, like, it's got to go in eh. It's just, it was on the team at some point, but obviously the impact was not that felt. So, yeah. Dragapult. Ooh, is Dragapult a workhorse or Hall of Fame? I feel like I gotta put him in Hall of Fame. I feel like I have to. I'll put him in like the middle Hall of Fame. Because like Dragapult, when I think of Dragapult, I know I was technically the first person to draft him because no one drafted him in Season 1 and I got him in Season 2. But that's not because like I feel like people just didn't know how good Dragapult was. Obviously, like some of us did because like we had a little bit of comp experience, but not all of us did just because like a lot of us Season 2 was really our first season because Season 1 was so scuffed. But like season 2, I put Dragapult on the map, and obviously after that, that's when it kind of just went crazy. And that's headed season 3, and then Josh had it 4 and 5. But like, Pult is just Draftmon. It's just Dragapult things. I mean, I don't have to explain, but still to this day, probably one of the most iconic draft games I've probably ever have in my career was when I played JC in season 2, and I hit him with the sub Phantom Force tech with Dragapult, and I just swept his entire team because he couldn't do anything about it. One of my favorite sets of all time. Set's so good, even Tanner considered drafting Dragapult for a while, just because that move set is just so much fucking fun to use. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to put him in Workhorse just because it's Dragapult, but I mean, if we're trying to be fair here, Dragapult did put in a ton of work that season. Maybe didn't get the chip we wanted that we felt like we had, but Dragapult put in a ton of work. And again, I guess the biggest thing for me is like when I think of Dragapult, I don't think of myself as like a Dragapult guy. I think of like obviously Josh as a Dragapult guy. Obviously Josh had it for 2 seasons, but with all the memes that came out of it where Josh is just spamming Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp and fucking U-turn every turn and he's not actually clicking a fucking move, like when I think of Dragapult, I think of Josh or Sal because of the memes. But even if I don't necessarily align myself with Dragapult per se, there's no denying Dragapult put in an immense amount of work back in season 2, and one of the leading reasons why we had the run that we had. Drifblim, I'll put him in sleeper. Because I actually do remember Drifblim putting in a good amount of work. I remember season 1 when I played Preston, he was my only like Mega Beedrill counter. Like, obviously Mega Beedrill has knockoff, but I forget if I was like Cobra Berry or something with like Will-O-Wisp Strength Sap. But like Drifblim hardwalled the Mega Beedrill. That's all I needed it to do. And like it's just a good mon. Like I feel like that's the reason why I have Drifblim over Ditto, because I actually remembered like Drifblim putting in a good amount of work season 1. But Drifblim's a good mon. This is pre-Terra, no Terra Drifblim. But even then, Drifblim's a great draft mon. Ton of utility. Can sweep if given the opportunity to. It's a good mon. Good mon. Cannot hate on Drifblim. Draudigon's a jobber. Draudigon is a jobber, bro. I mean, when I played Tanner season 1, and I had dual screens Klefki with Rocky Helmet, Ruskin, Draudigon for the Zapdos Galar, and bro did like 10 damage to me with a close combat, and then he took like 50% in recoil. Draudigon is the GOAT, bro. Draudigon is the truth. Probably one of the most slept on mons in draft in general. Unfortunately, just forgettable mon. But in draft, dude, I'm telling you, if you've never used Draudigon, bro, he is the truth. He's the truth. And he needs to be drafted more, bro. He needs to be drafted more. That's all there is to it, bro. That's all there is to it. Dunsparce is a workhorse. I cannot put Dunsparce with these 9-to-5 jobber bozos, bro. Dunsparce is putting in so much work in season 4. I considered bringing him to finals against Tanner, bro. Obviously, when I put him the first time in the regular season, I did bring Dunsparce, and he put in a ton of work. But with the risk associated of bringing Dunsparce, he was this close to making it to the final team for season 4, bro. I promise you, he was so close to making it to finals. This mon, probably the bottom of workhorse moving forward. But, dude, I mean, Dunsparce, season 4 was the first season where you could use a Violate on it, I believe. And, bro, I mean, the GOAT, bro. The GOAT. I mean, Dunsparce, I saw potential in it, and I was like, it'll probably be good, but it's not going to be anything crazy. No. If I'm ever in a draft again, and I need a normal type for a budget, I'm drafting Dunsparce every single time. I do not care. I'm a Dunsparce believer, bro. If I could rebrand off of something from the Westside Grafii, I'd do, like, the fucking, I don't even know, what's the town name with D? Drexel's in Phil. I do the Drexel Dunsparce, bro. My God, again, This thing is crazy. Dunsparce, the GOAT, bro. The GOAT. Empoleon. Ooh, is Empoleon Hall of Fame, though? Ooh. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Empoleon's Hall of Fame. I think he's a workhorse for sure. It's back in Season 2. I like how I'm remembering this without even looking at my other monitor. When I'm looking at my other monitor, it's literally just me watching Weekend Play Smite 2. Like, so. But, again, I'm just knowing all these things. This is ingrained in my memory, bro. Big juice in my soul. But Empoleon, obviously, my favorite Mon ever in Pokemon. So, I'm a little biased towards it in general. But, this was pre-Roost Empoleon, by the way. This did not have Roost at the time. This is back in Gen 8. But, Empoleon, a great Mon. Had a little bit of problems with it just because, you know, when I played MS in finals, I couldn't really bring it because, you know, it's a water type that can't switch into a sheer force boosted Flare Blitz from Darmanitan, which kind of sucks. But obviously, besides that one scenario that, like, really let me down, Empoleon put in a ton of work for me Season 2. I think it, like, literally, like, 1v5 chases, like, entire team minus his Nidoking, and even then, I think I had a Shuckaberry with Scald just to kill it. So, like, Empoleon put in a ton of work. Even though I love it and I want to put it in Hall of Fame, I don't think I can. It's just not fair to the Mons above it. But Empoleon, definitely deserving of workhorse for sure. Manectric, another workhorse here. Put in a ton of work, Season 5. He's more like, his role is more of like a jobber per se, where he just comes in and clicks Volt Switch. But like, he was still putting in a ton of work. Like, there's a couple weeks where like I was doing some pretty shiesty things with Mega Manectric, and like I vouched it for a while. I'm a huge Mega Manectric believer. I still think he's one of, if not one of the better Mons or Megas to draft in general, especially for the budget he's at. This is probably the highest I can put it. When I look back at my Big Juice seasons and I think of all the Megas I drafted and stuff, he's definitely like one of the more forgettable ones. But that doesn't take away what he did for the team. Great Mon. Yeah, just great Mon. Florges, I'll put in Sleeper. Florges, where's our Bombay? I'll do this. So the thing with Florges and Urbombe is I have them both on here. So the only caveats to the rule of like, because like I said at the beginning, I really don't have traded Mons on here besides Gengar, but Florges was a traded Mon in Season 1. Initially on my team, I had Urbombe for the entire duration of Season 1, but I made a trade at the end of week 3 or 4. I think it was week 4. Yeah, it was week 4 because it was 5-1. It's at the end of week. It was going into week 4. Back then we played 2 games a week. I know, a little crazy. But to the end of week 3, I made a trade. I traded Urbombe for Florges. And that's when like everyone left and we just had to like rush Season 1, just get back into Season 2 and like restart basically. So I have them both on here because technically my playoff run had Florges, but my regulars, really I only had 2 games of Florges Season 1, but I think it was still worth the mention regardless. Urbombe, again, it was there. I mean, it set up pretty nicely for Mega Gyarados and Victini, but other than that, I mean, it didn't really do anything crazy. It was just kind of there. I'll put them both in there to be fair. They were just there. I mean, Urbombe, like the speed was nice, but I felt like I needed the bulk, I guess. So we ended up getting Florges. Again, a lot of my early days in like getting back into draft, I leaned a lot on the wish passing I was accustomed to in the old days of Pokemon. Like, so I still think wish passing is like a very, very like crucial thing to have in draft at times. It's not as mandatory as it used to be just because of how offensive Gen 9 is. Bro, if you grew up in the fucking streets with me back in Gen 6 and 7, bro, maybe it was just shitter mentality, but for me, I loved having Wish Pass. Wish Pass is one of my favorite things to do. Yeah, you can U-turn on me all you want, but like, obviously I'm a, you know, bolt turn, U-switch, flip turn abuser myself, you know. Shout outs to JC, bro, my #1 hater, but I think Wish Pass is another one of those things where it's a playstyle that's not really common anymore. But I think it got a buff in Gen 9, even though the meta's not as like defensive as it used to be. The fact that Wish still has 16 PP compared to all the other healing moves is pretty big for it. So like I think Wish still has a place in the meta, but it's not what it used to be. But again, Urbombe 4 just in general, they were just kind of there. I didn't have enough time with either of them. I granted a lot of my season 1 mons I didn't in general, so like it's not necessarily fair to them, but I'm trying to be as fair as I can. And even then, like Urbombe wasn't like a super core team that member, and Floor just, I mean, I only had like 2 games on it, so like it's definitely not going fraud, but it's going as low as it can be without going into fraud. Garchomp, I mean, this is just, I don't have to say much here. I mean, I feel like this is pretty self-evident with, I feel like if you look at these tiers, you could probably assume that this is one of the ones going into GOAT. I mean, Garchomp, my first ever Terra captain I've ever used in draft, Season 3, carried me to finals. Put up an MVP LeBron. Carried me the entire season of Season 3, mind you. The entire season carried me. Went into playoffs. He kind of did good, but like he did his job. He didn't do anything crazy. Got into finals. Put up flu game Jordan numbers in finals against Mnes. The guy I lost to just 3-4 months ago in Season 2 finals. Garchomp's a GOAT. I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Design-wise, GOAT. Competitive-wise, GOAT. What he did for the team, GOAT. When I think back at what the Westside Grafii is and what we represent as a team and organization, Garchomp's there. He's there, bro. He's there. He is what he is, bro. GOAT. Gengar. Again, this is the last trade caveat that we have. I really want to put Gengar in GOAT, but I really want to put him Hall of Fame, but I can't. It's not fair. It's not fair to the other mons above him. It's not fair because I traded him. Again, obviously, not his fault. It was not his fault. If it was possible to have had Gengar on that team forever, we would have had him. But unfortunately, the trades had to be made. If Gengar didn't sacrifice himself for the squad, we might have never gotten a chip in Big Juice. We might have never gotten a chip in Big Juice. But he's definitely going to the top of Workhorse. I mean, Gengar, he put in a ton. Ooh, maybe not. We'll put him like here. Gengar put in a ton of work Season 3. He was. I really did not want to get rid of Gengar, bro. I promise you, I did not want to get rid of him. Probably my only regret with Season 3 was the fact that I had to drop Gengar to get Pack Watch, but it had to be done. It had to be done. Gengar did his thing, but at the end of the day, he just got caught in the crossfire. He got caught in the crossfire. There's nothing else to be said. But he did his thing, man. I'm telling you right now, he did his thing. Glamora. Ooh, Season 4 again. Damn, we're getting into some of the good mons here. Ooh, hold up. Glamora, is it Hall of Fame? Nah, Glamora's not Hall of Fame. It's Workhorse for sure. Glamora, I mean, it does what it does. Season 4 for the first half was my Terra captain. But, obviously once it wasn't Terra, I mean, it still came, did its thing, but it didn't do anything, like, super crazy. There's a couple weeks where it did pretty well, but, I mean, if we're being honest, in general, it just kind of did its thing. And again, that's not a bad thing. Like, that's not a bad thing, right? You could even argue Glamora should be a jobber, but I think it did a little bit more than what the jobbers did for the team. Obviously had Terra for a bit, but even without Terra, I mean, it still did a lot. Yeah, I mean, Glamora's a GOAT. I love it. It's a good mon. Yeah. All said. Hitmontop. One of the few two-timers in Big Juice. One of the few two-timers. Season 1 and 2. Almost brought it to Chip Season 2. Workhorse or Jobber? Nah, Dunsparce. Ooh, I don't know. More than Hitmontop, though. I'll put Hitmontop towards the end of Workhorse, but Hitmontop, one of the few two-timers in Big Juice. Love this guy. One of the best spinners in low tier. Technician with triple axle, mock punch, rapid spin. I mean, Mon does it all. People hate on Hitmontop nowadays. They say this Mon sucks. I disagree. Even if it's only getting like 20% off on something, it's tanky enough to at least eat like 2 hits. So even if you want to make that argument like it does no damage, it's still getting chip in for something else, which matters a lot. So for me, I love Hitmontop, great Mon. Yeah, Workhorse for sure. Workhorse for sure. Literally the only reason I have it over Dunsparce is because I drafted it twice, and I just got more usage out of it. Dunsparce we only used like 2, like maybe 3, 4 games back in Season 4. Hitmontop was a core member. For a while, this was like a GOAT member of the Westside Grafai and Philadelphia Flygon organization. But as we moved on and got further into the Big Juice seasons, it kind of fell out of favor a bit. But we still remember our roots back in Season 1 and 2, man. Still remember our roots. Infernape, I'll put it next to Empoleon. I mean, they're kind of in the same mind for me when I look back at what Season 2 was. They put in a lot of work, for sure. And obviously, they're 2 of my favorite Mons ever. So, like, I'm biased towards them. But if we're being real, they both kind of did the same thing. Obviously, I've used Infernape in Torch. What other league did I have Infernape in? I know it wasn't just Big Juice, right? I have Infernape in Torch Song. Okay, cool. So, yeah. Having Torch as well. He's been doing good there. But if we're talking exclusively Big Juice, he did his job. I mean, he did good, you know. I mean, I'm not complaining. He's a great Mon. He did well for me. But when I think about a lot of the Mons that I've used over the seasons of Big Juice, Infernape and Empoleon are up there, but they're not in the same tier as something like Cinderace or Ogerpon. So, yeah. Jolteon. Ooh. I'll put him at the top of Jobber. Season 1, it was literally a 2-man show. Mega Gyarados and Victini were putting in all of the fucking work. All of the fucking work back in Season 2. Or Season 1. But Jolteon was like that third member where he's like, yeah, those 2 are carrying. You know. Like, imagine Gyarados as like the support and Victini as like the ADC and like a MOBA, bro. Gyarados is like, oh, well, Gyarados, you know, he's carrying, and Victini's carrying too. And then Jolteon's like that third guy on the team. It's like, I'm not doing terrible. I might not be carrying as hard as them, but I'm not feeding either. Like, he was there. He was doing his job. He was doing good. But, again, I've used him in the UNPL D-League. He was my Terra captain there, one of them. I was a lot higher on Jolteon going into it than I was at the end of it. Maybe I just put too much pressure on the kid. I had too much stocks invested into him. But, again, Jolteon, a good Mon. Probably will be the top of Jobber moving forward just because I think he is a gatekeeper into Workhorse. Because he put in a ton of work for me. Don't get me wrong. Even back in UNPL D-League, he put in a ton of work. But, if we're being fair and we're being honest, didn't live up to the expectations necessarily that I necessarily set for him. So, yeah. Kecleon, I'm putting him below. Kecleon, the thing I hate about Kecleon is nothing that he did or didn't do for me. Ooh. I'll put him right below. That's not fair. I'll put him right here. Kecleon, something that I will hate for all future drafts players moving forward is that they did not get to experience pre-nerf protein Kecleon if they've never drafted it. If you've never drafted Kecleon pre-protein nerf, you have to try. I need them to color change to old protein just for Kecleon. He's the only one that gets that ability, and he desperately needs it. It's the only thing that makes him fucking good. Kecleon is an insane Mon. There was so much outplay potential. Kecleon, I brought it to semifinals against Tanner Season 2. He literally single-handedly destroyed Mega Gallade and Blacephalon on his own, which is Tanner's like 2 hard carries at the time, mind you. Kecleon shut down his entire... He literally, like, I think it was game 1 or 2, Kecleon, like, literally 1v5 Tanner's team. Like, the first 11 turns, he, like, killed 2 things and got, like, 1 or 2 other things down to half health. Kecleon is a fucking monster. And again, with Protein being nerfed, I don't know if I'd ever draft this mon again. I don't know. But I know if I ever join a league that's pre-Gen 9, I'm drafting Kecleon if I need a normal type. I'll tell you that right now. Trick Room, Stealth Rocks, fucking Yawn, I think. I mean, he gets a lot of cool utility, and he's a great mon. Like, what I feel about Dunsparce in Season 4 is how I felt about Kecleon in Season 2. He was that guy, bro. And you can't enjoy the same thing I enjoyed back in Season 2, because he's fucking gutted now. You can't use him anymore, man! Gambit, he's Hall of Fame. I mean, obviously, Terra Gambit, who would have guessed he'd be fucking broken as shit. But even when he wasn't Terra, he was still doing fine. Obviously, he didn't do nearly as good as he did with Terra. Dragapult Gambit, I'm a little biased on just because I don't... They're, like, kind of so broken to the fact that, like, I don't like them. But if we're being honest, Gambit was one of, if not the biggest reason I made it nearly as far as I did in Season 4, that I had the run that I had. I mean, that mon is just insane. I mean, there's just no other way to put it. Gambit was carrying a lot. And I feel like the reason my finals didn't go the way I wanted was just because Gambit wasn't... Like, he couldn't break the things I needed him to break. And that was all me. But, yeah, Gambit just... Absolute menace. Absolute menace. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Puffkey, we'll put in Sleeper. Just, you know, it did its job in Season 1. Like, it was getting its hazards up and stuff. But I feel like if I had more time to cook with it, it could have been in like a 9-to-5 jobber or workhorse. But because Season 1 was cut short, I think Sleeper's fine. It did it's like Driftbloom. Did its job, did good, but could have done more if given the opportunity to. I think that's what we're keep it. Landorus Therian. This is another Hall of Famer, bro. Season 2. I mean, I traded Corviknight like at the end of week 2 going into week 3. And I remember JC at the time, he was like, bro, because he had Mega Pinsir, he's like, bro, only reason you beat me is because you had Corviknight and I couldn't break it, bro. With Landorus, you're cooked. Landorus came to every single game once I picked it up in Season 2. From week 3 to the finals, he came every single week and he was putting in fucking work. He is the definition of workhorse, but because his workhorse mentality was so good and he was doing so much, he's a Hall of Famer. He is the definition of workhorse, but he did so much, he's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer for being a role that he was, man. I mean, bro, just an absolute GOAT. I mean, did so much fucking work. I mean, there's not much else to say, man. Not much else to say. Lucky, I'll probably put it at the top of workhorse, just because pre-Terra, it was doing a little bit, but not anything too crazy. But once I gave it a Terra after Ogerpon, Lucky in Season 5 just became an absolute core member of the team. Again, not much to hate on it. I mean, that is my guy. My fucking guy. But, he's on the cusp of Hall of Fame for me, for sure. But, he put in, again, I think he's like mini Landorus for workhorse. Like, he put in that work. And he made himself known. But, you know, just he ain't quite whole. He could be there. You know, maybe a little down the line, my mind could shift, or I draft him again. My opinion could shift. But for now, good put him in workhorse. Maybe not a Hall of Famer just yet. Lipard, I mean, came to one game against Chris in Season 3. My literal only loss in Season 3 was when I brought Lipard. Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the most undeserving Mon to win a championship, it's Lipard. If it was possible for me to give my ring away, Lipard's ring away, I'd give it to Gengar. He deserved it way more than Lipard ever did. But, unfortunately, the world we live in is cruel. And Lipard has a championship in Big Juice, and Gengar does not. So, yeah. Magmortar. I'll put him in 9-5 jobber. I'll put him like here. I'll put him right there. Magmortar put in a lot of work in Season 3. He's a very core member. Maybe didn't come to every game. I want to see how many times did I bring him in Season 3. Brought him to 4 games, and then I don't know if I brought him in playoffs, but I know I brought him for finals. And in finals, he played a very important role because he was my flame body mon for Chinpao. So, like, being able to switch into Chinpao and forcing him to die, that's big. But even then, 8 games played in 4 sets, and he was 10-4. Like, Magmortar was putting in work for sure. You could even argue he's a workhorse, but just because I don't necessarily have like like when I look back at Season 3, like what that season meant for me, Mag isn't on the top of that list. Like Mag is a little further back in my mind than a lot of the other mons when I think about like what my team was. That doesn't mean he didn't put in the work. He did, but maybe it was just more of like a jobber role than a workhorse per se. Yeah. Megas, I'll hold off to the end. I want to hold off on the Megas to the end. So let's organize this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I already did them all a while. Minetric. Fuck it. I'll do the Megas now. Fuck it. I already did 2. No reason to hold back. Mega Ladino. Is definitely a jobber. Wish Pass. I mean, people in Season 2, I guess, didn't know what the fuck Taunt was. I don't know what was up with that. I mean, obviously, a lot of us are still new, so, like, maybe that's why, but Mega Ladino, I mean, literally just a crazy mon. I mean, offensively, not the greatest, you know. Maybe if you get a couple Calm Minds up, you can maybe do something, but, even then, Mega Ladino in Season 2 put in a lot of work. I mean, let's go back and look at the stats. 7-10 throughout a whole season. There's Mons, Tanner's Gudra. Tanner didn't have Gudra for the whole season. Who dropped Gudra? Wasn't it? It was Preston, right? Yeah, Preston dropped it. Preston's Gudra. Mind you, let's use a more common example. Chase's Nidoking that he used every week had 24 deaths. Obviously, he had 46 kills, so, you know, kind of makes sense. But he had 24 kills. My Aldino that was there pretty much every game. Or not every game. It was there, I think, like 70%. There's maybe a few games wasn't there. Out of the, like, 18 games we had, I think it was there for, like, 12, maybe 13. 10 deaths. This mon was not dying. Still had 7 kills. Put in a lot of work. A lot of work. But, at the end of the day, not a workhorse. Just a jobber. Did its job. Didn't do anything fancy. The one time I did try to get fancy with it and try to Calm Mind sweep, it was against B, and he brought fucking Transform U and copied into my Calm Mind fucking Mega Ladino. That shit still pisses me off, bro. I should have had that sweep in Mega Ladino, but he's a little bitch. But, all good. We're here. Yeah. We're here. Mega Gyarados is probably at the top of Hall of Fame. I mean, again, if I had more time in Season 1, could have been a GOAT tier. Because, again, Megas are very important to me, and I like having a good Mega and a Mega I like to play off of. And Mega Gyarados, I mean, bro, he was putting in the work. Again, when I look back at Season 1, the 2 months that come to mind is Mega Gyarados and McTeeny. That was the duo going in, and they put in the work that I anticipated. And he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he's going down in the Hall of Fame for my organization. That's just how it is. And I would love to draft Mega Gyarados and Victini again. On the same team, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But still, just when I look back at Big Juice, Mega Gyarados is a very key part in getting me back in a draft and being able to play the way I did. So, Mega Gyarados, love him to death. Hall of Famer for sure, no doubt. I mean, do I even got to talk about these two, bro? I mean, Mega Blastoise, just what he did for me in Season 3 cannot be understated. Like, Garchomp had the more flashier role, but what Blastoise did for the squad, bro, I mean, you can't deny what Blastoise did for the squad. And Mega Gardevoir, I mean, probably my favorite, top 5 Mons of all time for me, my favorite Mega by far. And that's a lot of expectations because I drafted it and I was holding back on it. But we drafted it, and then it went 52 and 13 in 31 games and 14 games and 14 sets played and 31 games played. This is the only Mon in my Big Juice career that I believe through a full season. We won't count season 1 because, you know, whatever. Mega Gardevoir is the only Mon in my Draft League career I brought to every game, and it went 52 and 13 in the regular season. All-time GOAT. When I think of my Big Juice seasons, my Season 3 squad obviously holds me near and dear because that's the team I won with. But, like, Season 4, the only thing holding back Season 4 is that I didn't win the championship. But even then, it was a 5-game set, absolutely incredible set, came down to a flinch, whatever. I could have played better, I could have prepped better, whatever. I don't care. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Mega Gardevoir is the all-time GOAT. No debate, no question. Greatest Draft League Mon of all time. Love this thing. 52 and 13. That's all I got to say. 52 and 13, bro. 52 and 13. Miltank, Hall of Famer. I'll probably put him here. Miltank, the GOAT. Miltank, the GOAT. I mean, it just became a meme that, you know, Plies bring Choppleberry every week on it, but didn't matter. I had Woo's Blaziken clicking fire moves on my fucking thick fat Miltank, so he didn't want to proc my Choppleberry, bro. People were afraid to hit me with fighting type moves because Miltank was putting in the work. Okay? Again, same reasoning as Landorus. He's a workhorse, but because he did his job so well and he was there almost all the time, Hall of Famer. Hall of Famer, bro. No doubt. Season 3, no doubt. Miltank, the GOAT, bro. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Smagius, we'll put him in sleeper. Season 4, definitely one of the low lights. Not that it did bad, but just because it came to what? 2 games? Yeah, 2 games. 2 and 3. Honestly, I think sleepers will be a little kind. We'll put it in it. I mean, I did use it in Torch. No, it was UNPL. UNPL, I used it. And again, in theory, Nismagius sounds like what Gengar used to be. Levitate Ghost, fast, 105. Hits decently hard, 105. I mean, not decently. 105 is kind of But that's what you get from it. You get Mismagius is just there to fill a role. Levitator, check. Ghost type, spin blocker, check. Can it click Shadow Ball? Check. It's just a role filler. It really shouldn't ever be like a crazy mon on your team. It's just kind of there to be there. But even then, like when you compare it to some of the other things on here, it's You could put it borderline fraud tier, but I'll be nice. But it is definitely a very kind of mon. Mudsdale, I mean, can we not put the horse in the workhorse tier? I mean, come on. Mudsdale was putting in the finest of work in Season 4. I mean, he was putting in work. 16-8, 15 games played, 6 sets. And I had 16 kills. He was getting more than a kill a game, bro. Come on. Stop playing with the kid, man. I'll probably put him here. Ooh, yeah, he probably did more than Gengar, if I'm being honest. I mean, Mudsdale might be Hall of Fame. Just because he was a very crucial part of that Season 4 team. But, again, I think we got to be fair. Actually, he might have done more work than Licky Licky now I'm thinking about it. Is he the top of Workhorse? Is he the top of Workhorse, bro? I'll put him at the top. But, Mudsdale, I mean, just an absolutely incredible Mon. I mean, if he's not Hall of Fame, he's on the borderline for me in my mind. And, yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, if you were around in Season 4, which, I mean, most of us were, because, you know, Season 3 and 4 is kind of like the peaks of Big Juice, but Season 4, I mean, just absolutely incredible Mon. Come on. Y'all remember. Noivern, he did his job. I mean, you know, he came to work, he did his thing. He's a jobber, bro. He's a jobber. Nothing wrong with being a jobber, but he was a jobber for sure. I mean, if I brought him to finals, do I win? Probably. But, you know, wasn't in the cards per se. You know, I just wasn't in the cards for him. But Noivern was a good Mon. I mean, he still is. He's not a bad. Again, jobbers just, it's like mid. You know, they're mid Mons. They did their thing, and that was it. And there's no harm, no foul. They came in, they clocked into work, and they clocked out. And when I didn't need them, they got their pay still. But, you know, let's not act like they were key members to the team, man. Weezing, Packwatch, I should say. I mean, he's either Hall of Fame or GOAT. I mean, we all know this. The question is he GOAT or is he Hall of Fame? I feel like he's the bottom of GOAT. Reason being, when I think of Weezing Galar now, first thing that comes to my mind isn't even Weezing Galar. It's Packwatch. It's fucking Packwatch. Packwatch, I had to sacrifice Gengar for Packwatch, and that was the hardest decision for me back in Season 3, because Gengar was a great Mon. I needed it. It was doing great. But if we were looking at the things I could get if I dropped Gengar, it was clear as day I had to do it. It was a big risk. I was nervous, because again, I was undefeated, so there's no reason for me to drop it. But I knew in the long term, it was like the fucking Oni Warriors when they dropped fucking Awesome Jake for genetics. Short term, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be bad. But as we scale into the late game, as we scale into the later seasons, we go into playoffs and we go for a championship run, Packwatch was needed, and he showed up, and he fucking popped. Absolutely shut down Chris's team with the Palafin. Really turncoat on Mnaz and helped me win the chip, because he was a massive, massive part of my championship team when I won Season 3. I mean, just a GOAT. Absolute GOAT. Yeah, I mean, come on. It's Packwatch, bro. He's got to be GOAT tier. He's got to be. Raikou, Season 2, again, I said this to Cinderace earlier. He was the original, like, kill streak Mon, bro. I think I was 13 or 14. I think it was 13 though with Raikou, and then I died. So he went on for a while. But I'll put him in Workhorse, because he's... I mean, is he Hall of Fame? I mean, he did a lot of work, but, like... I don't know. He's kind of like in the tier... Like, I would say, like, Gengar and up, you could make the argument, like, they could be Hall of Fame, but, like, it's a debate. You know, it's a debate. Like, Hall of Fame, clear, they gotta be there. Gengar and up, you can make the argument for it, and I wouldn't be against you, but I feel pretty comfortable putting Raikou in Workhorse. It's what I'm comfortable with. I feel like that's safe. No harm, no foul. We're all good there. We're all good. You know? Rose. Oh. is Roserade in Hall of Fame or GOAT? The Hall of Fame or GOAT? This is tough. This is a tough one. This is tough. Put it in Hall of Fame. I'll put it at the bottom of Hall of Fame. It's borderline. Or I'll put it at the bottom of GOAT. Borderline Hall of Fame, but I think it has to go GOAT. 18 games, 8 sets played, 21 and 14. Setting up Hazard. I mean, I wasn't even bringing it like offensive that often. Like I did, but like it wasn't like I was bringing Scarf or Specs every week like a lot of people do. Like I was bringing Hazards a lot. And Roserade is everything I want in a draft Mon. Hazards, status, can be bulky, can be offensive, does it all. Again, top 5, top 10 of my favorite Mons of all time, Roserade. Design-wise, flawless. Typing, pretty good. Grass Poison. What it does for a team, bro, in draft, what it can do, obviously this is with Hidden Power, which changes Roserade a lot, because without Hidden Power, I think Roserade falls off quite a bit. But with Hidden Power, Roserade's busted. Roserade is broken with Hidden Power. Without Hidden Power, you know, comes more of like a jobber, but with Hidden Power allowed, I would draft Roserade every time. I mean, absolute GOAT. You can see that Season 4 and Season 3 is like what's controlling GOAT, but it's for good reason. I mean, those are like my 2 big seasons, and they're like the big identity seasons for me that really like fleshed me out as a player, and like Roserade was a big part of that. Roserade is like what initially got me into Hazard stacking, and I remember that was like why I drafted it, because I was like, it's mine I want, in Hazard stack. Garchomp got access to spikes at Gen, so that's why like I drafted as well. Obviously I didn't spikes with Garchomp because I was spiking with this thing. And like Roserade got me to where I am now, where like it really like redefined how I wanted to play competitive and like focus hazards and get them up and try to play around them and try to deny them. Just play offensive. Like Roserade was that turning point for me as a player, and like I'll always remember her. Like I have to. She changed the way I play Pokemon forever. And I think for that impact on me as a player, it's got to be GOAT. It has to be GOAT. Rotom. Rotom-mo. Ooh. He did pretty good. I mean, 16 and 5, 19 games played, 9 games, 16 and 5, that's pretty good. But I mean, those stats are kind of inflated because it was on a fucking all-star roster. So, keep that in mind. That being said, I mean, if Dunsparce is Workhorse, he's got to be Workhorse. So I'll put him below Mega Manetric. But Rotom was putting in a lot of work Season 4. I remember Rotom putting in a lot of work. We have the stats to prove it. I mean, it is what it is. Rotom-mo, the GOAT. Again, he's like a jobber, but I mean, Workhorse and jobber are kind of the same thing. But Workhorse is like you got that. Like, you want it more. Jobber's like, you're just coming in, clock out. Workhorse is like that extra mile. You're going that extra way, and Rotom was doing that. So, Rotom, core member of the Season 4 team. Respect what he did for us, you know? If he needs a pension plan, I got him. Sableye. He fraud? Like, he was Season 2, yeah? Yeah, like, Sableye, I don't really remember Sableye doing that much at all. I know when Biff watches this video, probably gonna be a little upset that I put his boy in fraud, but if I'm being honest, if you told me to name off my Season 2 team off memory, Sableye is probably the last one I'm naming, and I'm probably gonna forget him. Just being honest. Sableye, he was there. He was there. Shaman. Ooh. Season 2 again, bro. Fuck. This is Workhorse or Hall of Fame. Is Shaman Hall of Fame, bro? This is tough. I'll put Shaman at the top of Workhorse. My reasoning is this. I don't have a clear-cut game where I can think back and make, oh, Shaman absolutely diffed it. Like, I don't have, like, a clear moment in mind where, like, Shaman, like, did this one thing, and on top of that, had a really good season. Shaman was always there. It did its thing. It did fine. Like, Shaman, I'm probably being too harsh on Shaman here. It probably should be Hall of Fame. But Shaman never had that standout game to where it was like, this is Shaman's defining moment. He did his thing, and we're here. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just he never did that. I think the one defining moment... Actually, Shaman did have that. Shaman against Chase, he didn't expect me to be offensive, and I one-shot his Arcanine with Life Orb Birth Power. So you know what? We'll bump you up. We'll bump up Shaman to Hall of Fame. I mean, Shaman was a very, very core member of our Season 2 team. I mean... but he, like, kind of lost me finals because he didn't get that damage roll, though, on the Darm. Like, ooh, this is kind of tough. I'll keep Shaman Hall of Fame. It had its out... Yeah. Shaman's Hall of Fame, for sure. As much as I want to hate on it for not getting that damage roll on Darm... I mean, I probably still would have lost that finals anyway. It was looking rough. Game 5, if we went to it. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Not the timeline we live in, but Shaman, definitely a very core mon of the team. Yeah. Shaman was a very important, influential part of the squad, for sure. Deoxys Speed, I mean, he's Hall of Fame. I mean, I'll put him next to Dragapult just because, like, it's in the same mind where it's like, my thing with Deoxys is like he's more fun than Pult because like he does way less damage. Like obviously his coverage is like comparable to Pult. Like his damage is way less. He's just way faster, which kind of makes it broken. But and his typing's worse. But Deoxys is just more fun. Like he's like if Dragapult was fun and didn't have Will-O-Wisp. That's literally what. Deoxys. Get rid of Will-O-Wisp for knockoff and make him more fun. That's Deoxys. The Deoxys Speed, I love him. Again, when I look back at the later seasons of Big Juice, like season 5 and 6, Deoxys Speed was one of the like few things that I like, just because there's so many different things you can do with him every week, and you can just do it. Whatever you need him to do, he'll do the work, and I respect him for it. Tornadus, definitely in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the performance he had against Croc in the playoffs, the quarterfinals for Season 3, just outstanding. Literally just decimated his entire team. Again, Torn was... I was debating between like what I want with this Gengar trade, and Torn was on there. Is he Hall of Fame, though? I'll put Torn. I can't put him above some of these guys. I'll put Torn below Gengar. Reason being, Gengar did way more work than Torn. I'll put him like down. Ooh, he might be a little lower. Put Torn like here. Actually, he's probably the bottom of Workhorse if I'm being honest. Torn really just had that one outstanding game against Croc in the quarterfinals, which, in my mind, having that one defining moment is a big thing when it comes to Hall of Fame. But if we're being honest, outside of that, he didn't really have like an outstanding moment. He was kind of just there. I mean, again, his role wasn't really to be offensive and do a lot of shit. He was just there to be there. But we got to put him Jobber, bro. He's probably bottom of Jobber. Yeah, I mean, he had his one game against Croc. Other than that, he really didn't do that much. So, yeah. Bro just fell from Hall of Fame to Jobber. I'm sorry, Torn, but life's cruel. Get used to it. Zeraora, Hall of Fame. I mean, Season 3 team. For a while, I was like hating on Zera because I was like, going before Season 3 was banned, because, you know, I don't know why. Couldn't tell you. But Season 3, we unbanned him. Wanted to use him just because he's one of the few electric types that are physical, and he can actually do it with Plasma Fist. And, I mean, he's just a super good mon, and, I mean, when I think of season 3, again, I think of like things like Pack Watch, Rose Raid, like I think of these 4, man. Rose Raid and Pack Watch and Blastoise and Garchomp, but like Zeraora was the unsung hero, bro. If I didn't have Zera, I probably wouldn't have won season 3 finals, because the fact that Zera outspeeds Pult, he outspeeds Chin-Pao, and he can pressure one-shots or kills with them with knockoff and close combat. Obviously, Zera can't one-shot Pult with knockoff, but, you know, with some chip it can. I think around like 70% if Dragapult's not HP invested, but yeah, Zera, I mean, he was like the sleeper of season 4. Like, if it wasn't for Zera, I probably wouldn't have won, but like the work he put wasn't noticeable in the moment, but like when I look back, it's like if I didn't have Zera, like that season probably doesn't end the way it did. So I respect Zeraora. He did what he needed to do, and he went above and beyond. He had his heart on the line. Even though I was giving him shit at the time, I was maybe not his biggest fan. We've made amends, and I gotta put respect on Zera, bro. Just I cannot disrespect him like that. Not my soul. Victini, he's Hall of Fame. I mean, Hall of Famer go, bro. I'll put him next to Gyarados, because that was the duo, and it's not fair to put it in my mind. It's just I cannot put a season 1 Mon in GOAT, because like we literally played 6 games in 3 weeks. Like, it was a 3-week season. We played 6 games. I can't. In my heart, I want to put Victini in GOAT. Realistically, not fair. It's not fair to the Mons in GOAT. Even putting them at the top of Hall of Fame is a little unjust, just because, again, they didn't get a full season. But assuming they did get a full season, Mega Gyarados. So just to give you an idea, season 1, I think Chase had Nidoking and Yanmega as the first 2 kill leaders. And then I think Gyarados and Victini were both right behind them. So Chase's duo and Nidoking and Yanmega were number 1 and 2. I think Victini and Gyarados were like literally like a kill or 2 behind them, and they were 3 and 4. And I mean, if we're being honest, Victini and Gyarados probably would have ended up on top of Nidoking and Yanmega on the kill leaderboard. So like I had the league's like top 2 of the top 5 kill leaders that probably would have ended number 1 and 2 in season 1. They're putting in work. They were doing great. And again, when I look back at season 1, the first 2 months I think of are them, and that's for good reason, because they were putting in the fucking work, and they deserve all the credit. They deserve it. They did it all. They did it. They were doing it. So if you're here for the big juice part of the video, this is kind of where it ends, because the rest of this is going to be Mons I've used before, or this is going to be the Mons I used for UNPL D-League, or UNPL D-League, or Torch Song. God, I'm in the league currently, and I can't remember it. My mind is fried. But should I announce my Big Juice team? I mean, this video is already almost 2 hours. I'll announce my Big Juice team later, just because I need to decide what I want. It will probably be like Mega Gardevoir, Garchomp, and something, but like I need to actually figure out the all 9 I want. So this video probably won't have that in here, just because I want to figure it out. And again, I just kind of did this video on the whim. So I'll put my announcement in the chat when I figure it out. But just know Mega Gardevoir and Garchomp are on that team for sure. Whether Garchomp's a Terra or not will be decided, but we'll figure it out. But let's finish this video out. It's almost 2 hours long. Yeah, let's finish this shit out. Tentacruel. He's a jobber. I think he's like top of jobber. He's up there. He did his job. Again, no harm, no foul. He did his thing, man. He did his thing. I'll do the easy ones that stand out. Regirock, he's sleeper. He's probably top of sleeper. He really only came to 1 game. He really only came to 1 game in UNPL D-League, but he did what he needed to. Obviously, he had Steel Beam on Iron Charge, just like I anticipated him to have, but even then, we still got rocks up, and we got our kill. It's really all we needed from that game. I wish he could have done more, but it just wasn't in the cards, unfortunately. But Regielek's definitely a sleeper mon. I think he's really good. Yeah, I mean, Regielek's the GOAT, bro. I mean, what else can I say? Haunter, he's a workhorse, bro. He's probably going like right here, right next to Gengar. Terra makes his mon crazy. I'm speaking like Torch Song League's over, and it's not. I mean, I technically am in playoffs. I have to play Biff, but like, you know, mentally the season ended a while ago, to put it lightly. It's just so hard to play in a league when everyone's quitting, man. It makes me not want to play. And on top of that, like, up until like a couple weeks ago, I haven't really been in the mood for Pokemon either. So like, it's been rough. It's been fucking rough, bro. But Haunter with Terra this month's absolutely crazy. Jay was hating on it. Jay's my #1 hater when it comes to drafts, bro. He just be hating on me. But why is JC sending me a TikTok, bro? Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh yeah, Haunter, great Terramon. Again, season's not over, so I could use it more, but from what I've used from it, great mon. Chinpal, Hall of Fame. I'll put it next to these guys. I'll probably put them in between, just because I think I like the Ox a little bit more. But Chinpal is just a broken mon. Just crazy what that mon can do. Comes in, kills like 8 things, and then you just won the game. Enough said. Terapagos. I'm a huge fan of Terapagos, but if we're being honest, has really not done that much in the Torch Song Draft League. So he's either sleeper or jobber, even though I want him to be workhorse or Hall of Fame. Because again, I love Terapagos. I think it has huge potential. But as currently stands, I'll put him at top of sleeper, just because this mon has potential. I mean, if you've been watching, I forget what season it was. I think it was in the BBR like 1 or 2 seasons ago when what's the French guy's name? The guy that can't talk, Emil. I can't talk. I mean, he talks, but just with a very heavy accent. Terapagos just the GOAT, bro. It has huge potential. I think it's sleeper. I feel like Jobber is too mean to put it in because, like, yes, it does its job, but, like, the potential is there, and that's why I'm putting it sleeper because I feel like if I was a little bit more locked into this Torch Song League and I got a full season where I'm locked in with Terapagos, it could easily be a Hall of Fame mon for me, but as currently stands, I have to put in sleeper. Potential to be in Hall of Fame one day, but for right now, it is where it is. Roaring Moon. Top of Have not been liking it in Torch. I came into the season as a hater for Roaring Moon, and it has not really proved me wrong. It's just an mon, bro. Like, I obviously with Terra, this thing comes super uber broken and like super impossible to kill, but like, I'm drafting Hydreigon over this thing every time, bro. Like, I'm not drafting Roaring Moon. This is like probably the one mon on this list where I'm not interested in using it again. I got my season out with it, and like, we did it, you know, we got it out and we did our thing. Azu, I mean, he's got to be in Hall of Fame for sure. It feels weird putting a non-Big Juice mon this high up, but like for what he did in my game against MNAS, bro, like we gotta put him up here, bro. He's probably like around here. Clowning MNAS week 1 of Torch Song in a new league with new people. Oh my god, that was funny. But Azu is just the GOAT, bro. I was big on Azu coming in, and I'm an even bigger Azu fan coming out. And that says a lot. When a mon can meet your expectations and then exceed them, sign of a good season. I love what Azumarill has done for me in Torch. And this is a great mon. I love it. I would love to draft him Big Juice, bro. I love it. Enamorous. This is also Torch. Probably put in Jobber. He's doing his job. He's doing his thing, but like he's not doing anything fancy that I can think of. Like I don't think Enamorus has had like a week where it's like, oh my god, Enamorus just fucking went off. Like I think Enamorus is kind of doing his thing right now, bro. Like if I go over to the standing or draft MVP race. I mean, obviously the stats are kind of fucked because I have not played like the last 2 to 3 weeks, but I don't think Enamorus is really doing much. And I mean, again, I don't necessarily need it to, but just like for what that mon can do, and it's just not doing it. Like, if we're being honest, it's a jobber. Obviously, it's kind of like Tropicus, where like the potential's there for it to be higher, but for as is, it's probably a jobber. I'll probably put it like around here, like it's doing its thing, but it's not anything crazy. So like, you know. Jirachi was a workhorse in UNPLD League. This thing put in a ton of work for me. I really relied on it like week in and week out. And, you know, it wasn't there for every game, but for the games it was there, it did what it needed to. I think I missed a Meteor Beam on an Ogerpon, which like really sucked, but like it could have been cool if I killed the Ogerpon with it. But other than that, I mean, Jirachi was very good for me in UNPLD League that I can remember. Solid mon. Got rocks up, you turned out, did its thing. Great. Great mon. Rotom Fan. This thing is kind of crazy. This thing has been doing a lot for me in the Tortsong Drafts League that I can remember. So I'll probably put it like around Haunter and Jirachi, just putting in work. Terra is great, you know. It's still a Rotom. It does what it needs to do, but that he does his job better than the other jobbers below him, and I gotta respect that. I gotta respect it. Greninja, I mean, this is an easy Hall of Famer. Gren is just a crazy mon. I mean, with Chin-Pao, the Chin-Pao duo, I mean, Tusk, Hall of Famer as well. I mean, Tusk, Gren, and Chin-Pao being on the same team should never be a thing, and it was. And those three just dominated. Like, literally those three came to, like, every game and just killed everything. Like, yeah. Like, Gren, Tusk, Pal. Those were the three that season. And then the rest were just fucking filler. I say that, but we have Appleton here, who's also probably over them. Appleton had the craziest performance out of any mon I've ever had. The Jaboca Berry Appleton tech will go down in the history books as one of the most niche, weird techs that has ever been seen in a Draft League game. And I love it. Obviously, I lost that game, so like it kind of sucked. But like, the threat was there. And Terra Appleton, I knew it was going to be good. The same thing as Azu, bro. Exceeded expectation. I'll put it right next to Azu just because, you know, I go. But exceeded expectations. Went above and beyond. Great mon. Just, I cannot complain with Appleton, bro. I mean, I am blown away at how much I enjoyed using Appleton. I knew it was going to be good, but bro, that thing became a core. Like, when we're talking, like, Gren, Tusk, and Chin-Pao on the same team, and Appleton is in that conversation with them, gotta respect the kid, man. Meow. I mean, it's doing good in Torch, but like my team in Torch, like I really don't feel like I have a hard carry outside of Azu. So like I'll probably put Cat at top of Workhorse again. Very easily could be a Hall of Famer, but for where we are now, I mean, it's got to be a Workhorse. I mean, it's not bad. It's just you know. Claudie, I'll probably put in Workhorse too. Probably below these guys. Claudie, again, I'm having a ton of fun with him, and I love Claudie, but for being real, memes aside, he's a workhorse for sure, but not anything like crazy. And Enamorus, I mean, bottom of Jobber or even like it's definitely not a sleep. Like low key is a sleeper mon because people hate this mon, but like I think Enamorous is jobber just because, like, it won me a game I should have lost. Obviously, I got a crit with it. But, like, I think I would have won that game anyway. I think I did the calcs at the time, and I was winning that game every time regardless. So, for me, this is my tier list. This is Big Juice all time paired with the other two leagues, the other two notable leagues I've participated in. I think there's like again, I think there's like one or two leagues I might be missing here, but I don't have the teams for them, and I don't believe I finished those leagues anyway. So like, at the end of the day, kind of just like one of those things where like lost in the history books, like I was in them. If you go back, you can see I was in them, but you know, they're not as important as this. So yeah, this is the tier list. I'm about to post in the Discord. This video is already 2 hours long, so I'm gonna end this. And yeah, that's it. I'll see y'all later.